Now, when you mentioned Hitchins was a big challenge, I mean, he's long. He's a pause,
Yeah,
right? He's a long 140 pounder. That's one of his big attributes, and he knows how to fight long. And here you are, a 26 pounder, right? Is
right.
that yeah? Is that part of what made it a very challenging spar for you and everything? And how'd you go about that? How would you learn from it?
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely challenging sparring Africa because again, he is a 140 pounder. I am a 126 pounder. So he's definitely longer than me, bigger than me, stronger than me, But at the same time, when I step into the ring, I don't think about those things. It's like, all right, cool. I'm still trying to find a way how to hit and not get hit, despite of him being a world champion. And it's just always competitiveness. Like each round, we battling to see who won the round. So um, despite all of that, though, it's still my job to find a way to be crafty, just to land one more shot than he landed on me, or to hit and not get hit. Um, but that's just the competitiveness. It's definitely difficult, but you got to be creative. You got to get crafty in the ring.
Did you come away from those sparring sessions feeling like I'm going to be able to do this at that level? I belong, or did you come away still got some work to do? You know,
Both.
both.
I
Right?
feel
Yeah.
like, yeah, both for sure because um, it's like anytime I step in the ring, whether it's with Africa, Cool Boy, you know. This how you know you're at that level, and I say even for me right now, is because for one, they like, dang, like I wish I could spar you every day. You get what I'm saying? It's just when I'm in the ring, it's more of a thinking game. And for a world champion or the person at the top of his weight class to say that, and it's just like, yeah, I belong here. I'm doing the right thing, and that's where the other part come in. Is like, I just got to keep on doing what I'm supposed to do. I can't lose focus. I got to keep on, because one day, I'm gonna be in a position, and there's gonna be somebody else younger than me that's gonna keep me on my game. So it's definitely the mentality for sure.
Because you could tell by the energy they give you or don't give you if they think you got it right
Exactly,
afterwards.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly afterwards, yeah. And if you really notice, like the great fighters, like I don't care who it is, it's a lot of people that say like, oh, I ain't get invited back to the camp because I beat on such and such. But the great fighters, the real competitive ones, they gonna keep bringing you back because they wanna, they know like, all right, nah, I gotta keep getting better. Like he on, me sparring him is gonna continue to keep me sharp, you know. And actually, when I was sparring Africa, one of the things that I say he said was like, yo. He was like, if I was ever fight Tio, I'm bringing you in the camp, not because of like um my size or anything, but it's just more sort of craftiness. Tio do things you just never expected,
Hmm.
and with Africa, that was like one of my things that I did.
Yeah, no, now you mentioned it, it checks out because Floyd, I remember when everyone, Floyd got the black eye from Spence, but Floyd said,
Yeah,
come back. I need to
yeah,
get that
yeah,
back a little bit. And just little things like that. Yeah, that lets you know, okay, you may have a good day on the champ and Tim Bradley with Terrence Crawford.
right,
Crawford would get off on him. He's like, all right, come back. I'm coming to the gym early. I'm going full throttle now. I need to get some of that back.
exactly.
So, right, right. Um, real quick, and then we'll end it with all this sparring talk. Do you think Hitchens would beat Keyshawn, or that's just a straight 50-50?
I'm definitely a fan of that fight. I like both Africa and Keyshawn.
Hmm.
Um, I feel like skill wise, it's 50-50. That fight literally is going to depend on two things: who wanted more and who best prepared. But skillfully, they both sharp offense, sharp defense, both responsible. They both work hard. But the only thing that's just gonna come down to is who's best prepared come fight night.
Now, to get back to what you got going on, um, I watched your pro debut on the top rank undercard, and then I watched your knockout over Ellis on OTX, and
Okay.
it looked like there was already some improvements. Do you feel like you've already improved since your pro debut, and in what way?
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure. I feel like my pro debut, I was anxious. My pro debut, I was definitely anxious. anxious just to get in the ring. Like I didn't like I knew for sure deep down that I knew I was gonna be victorious, but it was just more so how or like in what way. I feel like dang, pro debut, top rank. I wanted to be dramatic, so I was kind of forcing it a little bit. As you talk about now, 8 fights later. I don't even, I come in the ring calm, cool, collective, super patient because in my head, I trust in my hard work, I trust in my training, and I know that I'm gonna get you eventually. It's just how I'm gonna get to you. So, um, super patient, and I understand that, if I really want the dramatic wins and, win in a nice championship fashion, that I gotta have patience and I can't be eager and just jump on the first error or mistake my opponent make.
Yeah, because sitting for where I'm sitting, nice and comfy, right? Not in the ring, but outside the ring. I'm like, you got him out of there in I think 2 rounds, but I'm like, man,
Yeah,
the head's on the line. And then by that Ellis fight, you were stabbing the body, coming up with the hook, like it looked different already. And
right.
so to that point, when you assess yourself and go back and watch your fights, what in the technical sense needs to keep improving the most to get to the championship level and be successful?
Yeah, for sure. I feel like, even going back to, to even some of my last fights, my recent fights, I noticed it's not necessarily things that I'm doing wrong, but it's just more things that it would have been better if I did something else, if that makes sense. It's like doing what I did wasn't wrong, but it would have been better if I did this, if I shifted or if I started going upstairs, downstairs, or instead of me throwing the right hand, I just started going to the bottom. Those are the assessments that I'm starting to make now. It's just like I'm not making the wrong decisions, like yeah, these is but if you want to be at the high level, you gotta start improving those and making the best decisions. That right there is what makes a a good fighter from a great fighter is making the right decisions. That's my assessments on it.
Now I know on BoxRec it doesn't always have all the information from the amateurs, but what it shows was you're 40 and 25. Your last amateur fight listed was against a kid like Julius Ballo who was 52 and 8. So you were a decorated amateur, but other guys have better records and maybe more
Yeah,
accolades. Did you feel as an amateur and now all along I have a pro style? And what would yeah, how do you attribute all that?
yeah, definitely. I'd say like really. So a lot of my amateur fights from overseas run on it because there was a point in time where I represented Puerto Rico and I fought in the Pan Ams. I fought in the Continental. We traveled all over. We went to Ecuador, Colombia. But I say that to say is that's when I most noticed that my style wasn't, for the amateurs because over here in the US, we typically all fight the same, but over there, in the high level USA boxing program, they teach you to fight in certain type of way, more fast paced, in and out. And me, I don't like the rush. I don't like
Mhm.
the rush, and I used to hate it. And but my coaches, they like, look, we just doing it for now. We gotta find a way to win. But the recipe for success, you gotta be fast, in and out, quick hands, quick feet, like touch and go, like in and out. And but that's when I knew like I'm gonna be a way better pro than amateur because I hate fighting like this. I can if I have to win and make an adjustment just the way that I'm gonna win, I'll do it. But I'd rather break somebody down systematically. You come to me, all right, I throw when I want to throw. I'm not gonna throw because to win a round for the judges or to fight a certain type of way. So that's when I knew that my style was definitely more of a pro style.
Was that a test of your confidence at all, though, when, yeah, maybe other guys fighting the other style are winning more tournaments or getting the Olympic spot and things like that? Was that a test of your confidence?
Not too much because I feel as though every time I walked out of the ring, you know, it was always like the same kind of shake that I had from the crowd. It was like like, dang, that was a close fight. If this was a pros, they would have appreciated your body work. They would have appreciated, your punch selection, how you was patient. but it's the amateurs, you know. So, they took the other guy, and when it's close fights like that, it's not about who hits who more and who don't get hit. It's a whole breakdown, style, range generalship, and the whole nine. So once I understood that, I'm like, all right, cool. At the end of the day, I wasn't my goal wasn't to become. Yes, I would have loved to be Olympic gold medalist, but at the same time, I knew I wanted to be a world champ more. So I just, in my head, I'm just keep working to be a world champ.
How do you assess how I'm sure you're looking forward to it. Like, do you not that it's your first real fight, but this is the first guy with a good, like, real good record. He's fought some real names. How do you assess this step up? What are you looking to get out of it, and how are you looking to perform in Pedro Guevara?
Um, I'm I'm super excited. I'm not gonna lie, I'm super excited. Not to take anything away from my other opponents, but even before like my last two fights, I'm saying like I want harder fights. I want harder fights because that's just gonna keep the fuel in me to continue working hard. Like I want the harder fights. It was a little difficult finding them, but man, this fight right here, I'm super excited for. Um, and I'm looking to show out all 8 rounds if I have to. If the knockout come, it comes. But I'm looking to show out, put on a performance, hit them from round one all the way to round eight and never get touched. Really, I want to really show like a high level of boxing and it's also because of who he is and what he's done and his accomplishments. He fought for world title before. He was in the ring with Shakur Stevenson. So it's just gonna show where I'm at.
What's it looking like promotional wise? You fought on a top rank card. You're fighting on a matchroom card. There's a matchroom card, I believe, right? So,
No, no, no. This is
right.
Fresh Productions.
Right. Matias was with Matchroom, but no,
Right.
got you. So, what's that looking like? I saw on your Instagram you've done some things with Jake Paul. Yeah,
Yeah.
what's that looking like?
We open.
Hmm.
I'm open for for any promotional company. I'm not assigned to anybody just yet. Um, However, if you ask me, I'd rather wait. If I'm at this point, I have a great team. My team have got me on top rank cards, OTX cards, being in Barclays twice, been in the Prudential Center 3, 4 times. So when I sit down and talk to a promotional company, you know, 9 times out of 10, they're not going to provide anything that my team isn't already doing.
Hmm.
Um, so we might as well just wait to the world champ. So when it's time to be like, contender world champion status, because I feel like that's when it'll make the most sense. Like, all right, you climbing in the top 10, top five, you're gonna kind of need a little bit more help to, break you through that barrier. Or if it's a world champion, he signed with Matchroom, hey, look, 3 more fights we want too. So, we sign in here to make that known. So, in that sense, that's where it seemed like it the most likely lead to. But like I said, I got a great team. We thrive and we growing. And if a promotional company, if it makes sense, we willing to sit down and sign a paper.
Yeah, and the price will only go up if the knockouts keep
Exactly.
accumulating. So, yeah. When I was also listening to the commentary of the Ellis fight, they mentioned you're doing psychology at Rutgers.
Right.
How's that? How do you feel like that plays a role in your fight game and how you approach the fight game?
An approach, it plays a role in everything. It plays a role in everything. It plays a role in training, which leads to the fight, but it also plays a big factor in the fight. Just understanding, just understanding how to read somebody, body language. Um, you see a lot of guys, they like to bluff, and in psychology, we don't go by what somebody say, but we go by like facial expressions. You talking and your eyebrows is raised. You showing me you're a little bit scared or worried about something. So it's like, those type of things is what play into it. But also I really take it more so for me, understanding my body, understanding how I could be best prepared and using the psychological factors. So when I step in the ring, is just, I'm indestructible and I'm super locked in.
Right. Well, they say more than at least 50% of the communication is really the nonverbal, right? More than what's
Exactly.
got it.